Mr. Patrick and Pastor Wale, what do you think about that result?
I think the younger generation, which were the target audience for this, they can increase in their saving culture, and they should go ahead, do some more research and try to put some more money away. Because if you, from that survey, you'll see that the target audience, they are really not doing well right now.
Yeah.
And it is understandable because their income might be low, but there are so many income generating opportunities in America. You know, they just have to tap into it, you know, get away from the distraction. There's a lot of distraction right now, a lot, because I have some young generation that I mentor. Some of them, literally, they can't even drive. The reason why they can't drive is because they cannot stay away from their mobile phone. They cannot stay away from Instagram, social media. So if they are driving, they are looking at their social media. So for that reason, their parents don't allow them drive, but they're already of driving age. So that's to tell you how distracted they can be. For it to get to the point that their parents would not allow them drive, you know. So let's just develop that habits and save more to have a better future. Thank you.
Yeah, but you already, that means they are not paying attention. You already mentioned those income opportunities.
Opportunities, yeah.
You already mentioned them. You mentioned it, Pastor Wale mentioned it.
Exactly.
They are there, and maybe they're on their phone, as you said.
Probably we might be on this Zoom. That's why
distracted.
Sometimes when I come on Zoom, I always encourage people to be on camera. One of the things is, with this generation, they have a very, their attention span is low. Their attention span is low. They don't have the time to sit down with you and listen to you for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. But they have the time to scroll through social media for hours on end. So I always encourage, let's be on camera, so that if you're on camera, because you know a lot of people are looking at you, seeing you on that camera, you'll be accountable. You'll be more interested. You'll be more focused on the conversation. And I also encourage people coming to this kind of information section with notes. Even myself, I've taken a lot of notes. I've written a lot of things down. The reason why we do that is because short notes is always better than long memory. Short notes is always better than long memory. So when you write all these things down, trust me, we've been here for over 1 hour already. There is no way you could have remembered everything we've talked about today. But when you write down the part that resonates with you the most, when you write down those parts, you can go back and refer to them. And when you refer to them, it can now make more sense, and you can do more research and go from there, you know. So.
Thank you. Pastor Wale, your turn. So what about the analysis?
I want to completely agree with everything Brother Patrick said. I think, so the first thing I would say is the results are very, very, I want to congratulate the group, because the results are very similar to what I would have expected from a general group of young people. We don't there are some outliers, but the bulk of us don't particularly save much. We are not particularly motivated to do very innovative things with our money, but we have the desire to get the results. What I will say is that I want everybody to understand this. Many of your, in this age, this is the information age. Many of your peers are making the decision to be different, and you don't want to be left behind. That's the first thing I would say. Many of your peers are making the decision to be. You may not see them here, but you see, when you move on in life, you will start running into them. And the best thing you can do is prepare yourself. I love what Brother Patrick said when he said, look, start taking notes, come on camera, be present, be intentional. You see that thing? It is a habit. It is a culture. It continues with you. You can't always want to be like Samson and have to pick yourself up every time. If you learn to get up and stay up, you realize that you are working with a horsepower that everybody else is not. So I want to encourage everybody to, if I screen share now, I was taking notes with, my notes, I was just taking small notes. When Pastor Joy came with the smoke, I started really taking notes. When Patrick came with, I started I have a bunch of things. If both of them go and look at their LinkedIn, I've already added them. I move at the horsepower. I've added them on LinkedIn. I've looked at them. I'm already going to reach out to them. I was just looking for Seyi Oladigbolu on LinkedIn right now. There's a particular horsepower that you have to move at to get to where you're going. So yes, listen to what I'm saying is important, but also listen to how I'm doing it. So I'm not putting anybody on blast or anything, but I want you to pick 1 or 2 or 3 things in this session that you are going to start putting into action, because if you don't, you will waste this opportunity just like any other opportunity. And I want this generation to be different, to be better, to be faster. What we used to do at 30, I'm over 40. What we used to do at 40, you should be now doing at 28, 29, 30, 31. And these things are very easy. This culture favors you. It doesn't favor us. It favors you, right? So I beg of you, please, yes, the survey says what they say, but the survey is just looking at what was in the past. I want us to now start making a change and reach out to any of us and say, look, 1 or 2 things. Do you know where I started learning real estate? Let me look at the names here. Okay, I think I'm protected. You know, I started learning real estate. I started hanging around white people. I went to Cornell for 2 years. I was only there for 2 years. One white boy bought a house on a campus for 2 years. I said, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Why are you buying a house? We're only here for 2 years. He said, well, listen to me. This campus has about 19 graduate programs. There will always be demand for short-term rentals. I was lucky to find a house. I said, teach me more. It was a white boy that taught me. Then I worked for Bank of America. They started sending me all over the country. Everywhere I went, I was just buying a house. Thanks to that white boy. So whatever you learn, please soak it and start learning it and start putting it into practice. It will help you and your family. It will enhance you, your family, the people around you, the community around you. I really want to thank the Views Lounge for this, because you all don't know what you have. It is phenomenal, and I'm glad to be connected to this community.
I want to go to the older people that are stuck in time of paying their debts, and they are scared, very scary right now, going to retirement. No investment. And somebody asked a question, but Mr. Patrick already touched on it. Then that is fixed index annuity. So they can move their 401k to FIA, whereby they can lose money, as you said, right?
Yes.
They can lose money. So, but can they get it? So at the same time, they won't lose money. Can they get like a little dividend from the money? So can this fixed index crash? Can it crash like so that they won't lose money? But so what's going to happen?
It's the fixed index is just like a 401k, right?
Okay.
The same thing where you ask, can your 401k crashed?
No, okay.
And the good thing about the fixed index is that the companies that give, like for some of us on this call, if you have your 401k with Fidelity, when you log into your Fidelity app, you'll see where it says roll over to FIA. The option is there. However, they would never tell you about the FIA, right? Because once they tell you about that, you know, when you have this, your retirement account, maybe you have a 401k or you have a 403b or you have a Roth IRA, you pay management fee for those things, right? Every year, whatever you have inside the account, they are charging you between 2 to 3% annually as management fee. But once you put it into the annuities, you no longer have to pay that management fee to them. So that's money you are saving for yourself. For that reason, they will not tell you because they are not getting the management fee for it. But to answer your question, if fixed index is going to crash, that means 401k is going to crash. That's to answer your question.
That means it can crash.
Yeah, exactly. It cannot, because if his 401k crashes, then everything crashes in America, right? So we have all these are tax codes. All these are tax codes. When we talk about the mature people, right?
Yes.
Over time, you've already worked in America. So the chances are you already have your money in one of these places. That the chances are you already have your money here. So with all these accounts, they are variable. Now, when you are now nearing the age of retirement, right? This year, all those accounts are doing good this year. However, in 2021, they were not doing good. In 2020, they were not doing good. They lost about 34%, 30%. So people are still recovering. Last year, it made about 24%, some 18%. So even the one that they lost 2 years ago, they have not even recovered it. You understand? So my point is, when you now get to the point that you are now in your 59, you're now in your 60, you want to do a rollover of your money, because once you get to that age of 59, you know, in America, right? At that age of 59, that is when you have the opportunity to start taking money from your retirement account without a penalty. So when you get to that age, you can roll your money over to the fixed index annuity.
Okay.
Now, because we live in a country that people don't retire, you live in a country that people don't retire, people continue to work. So when you roll your money over, you have the option to lock the money for another 5 years or another 10 years. But the good thing about the fixed index annuity is when you roll your money over to that account, you don't lose the money at all, but it can grow for you. Okay. And then after the first 5 years, maybe you locked it for 5 years. After the first 5 years, you start taking distribution. But if you want them, if you roll your money over, let's say you roll your money over and you want to start taking distribution this very year, you have the opportunity to start taking distribution. So they can structure it for you the way you want the account to be structured. Because one thing that most people don't know, especially, let me say, especially people from the African American diaspora community, we think our 401k is like the pension in Africa. It is not. Your 401k can be depleted. It can finish. The money in there can finish. Now, let me run this scenario by you. You have a 401k, and now you start taking money out of it this year. Remember, when you start taking money this year, you are no longer contributing into it. Now you start drawing from it. Every time you draw money, they are charging you taxes on it. You are drawing, they are charging you taxes, and it's still in the variable market that is going up and down. So it's losing money, you are drawing from it, they are charging taxes. How long do you think it will take before that money finish? That's why you see most people, after 2 or 3 years of retirement, they go back to work because their 401k has finished. And most of them, they now depend on Social Security, which, by the way, you have to qualify for. Most people don't know that part. Most people don't know they have to qualify for the Social Security. That's
so how do you qualify for it?
You have to apply. When you apply for the Social Security, then they run you through the system and they tell you, oh, this Social Security, at social point, this is how much you can get. However, if you really want us to give you this Medicaid and they check your properties. That's why it's very good for you to have a trust. You put your property in the trust. It's not in your name, because when they check, you have all this property in your name. They can decide to give you all the Social Security that you need, but you are going to will your house over to the government. When you pass away, the government takes your house. That is another conversation altogether. So these are the things that most people within our community are not aware of.
So I want the people on the platform to ask questions. If you want to ask questions, can you signify by raising your hand so that we can unmute you so that you can ask your question before we round up?
Ma, can I, I'm just going to quickly screen share.
Okay, sir.
This is something I put together for a group of elders in a church. So as you start thinking of how am I going to fund myself, typically comes from these. I copied it over from a presentation. Annuities, this is 401k that and when he wanted to retire, now they said he doesn't qualify for Social Security because he never paid taxes. He worked off the books. Then there are Medicaid annuities. Some qualify, some don't qualify. So that's why many people just have a small business, typically tied to Nigeria, typically tied to our community. And then you just have to have a plan with your children. What kind of support will your children give you? What can they afford? So on and so forth. I send money to my parents as part of their plan for support. I'm not the only thing that they rely on, but I send money to them. As Mr. Patrick said, there's a plan for employment. There is a big demand for elderly employment, driver, tutor, admin assistant, virtual admin assistant, dog walker. So I think as we start thinking of getting older, especially if you don't have a big nest egg, you want to put these things together and have somebody just put this portfolio together and figure out how much you'll be able to bring in every month, so that we are not unprepared.
Oh, thank you for that information. So okay, Pastor Joy put an account, a link here. I think somebody has a question.
Yeah, when he mentioned something about Social Security, and he made a statement that Social Security does not just happen.
Okay.
So right now, you can know your status if you have earned enough points, especially for first-generation immigrants, that, you have to work not just for, Pastor Wale brilliantly mentioned that some people worked under the table, So if you want to know how much will you be qualified for and stuff like that, create an account with ssa.gov, and that will help you, even if you're young and you intend for you to be able to retire. If the system is the type that goes by those compliances, then we need to understand them so that it is not too late for us to comply.
Yeah.